To Good Things. I'm your host, Rebecca Turner. Don't forget, you can listen to Good Things. We are streaming live over at SuperTalk.fm. We're also streaming from the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and you can always find us, too, on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station, and you can watch us. We are on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. I got a friend in the studio with me today, Samuel Bolen. He is with the Jackson Leadership Foundation. They just turned 5, and they're getting new digs, which I think is really cool and exciting. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you back. You even shared that maybe 5 years ago you were here with us talking about the excitement behind the Jackson Leadership Foundation starting up. So let's go back 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly everything that we talked about, but what was the vision and mission when you guys started the Jackson Leadership Foundation?
Yeah, great question. We started with the idea that Jackson is full of great grassroots community leaders doing good work.
They really are.
And I come from a church background. I worked at Broadmoor Baptist Church in Madison, served the community as a local missions pastor, ran a community center in the city of Jackson before that, done ministry for some time. And it's just understood within me, and I know many others, that if we want to see our under-resourced communities transformed, it's going to be through the leaders that are already in those communities, that have close relationships, that have a vision and know the need. And so what we did with Jackson Leadership Foundation was simply sought to create an organization that existed to provide 24/7 comprehensive support to our leaders in the city. And so 5 years ago, we very much were a dream. I left my job in the pastoring world with about 3.5 months in the bank and said, let's do it. And so we're still here 5 years later, and it's been a blessing.
So who all came to the table 5 years ago, Samuel, to even recognize that this had a chance of being impactful? Because it can't take one person with just 3 months rent in the bank to make something like this sort of happen, because this is oftentimes a missing piece within small communities that have a lot of cooks in the same kitchen, but it's a big kitchen because it's a broad city and it's in different sort of sectors, and they do just need a little bit of training, a little bit of nudging, a little bit of corralling and networking to maybe make a bigger impact. So who all came to the table to sort of say, this is something that the metro area needs?
The biggest influencer for Jackson Leadership Foundation was and really is Dr. John Perkins. Dr. Perkins is frankly a worldwide name when it comes to ministry in the city, ministry in low-income neighborhoods. And he just so happens to live in West Jackson. And he's a mentor of mine. And back in 2016, we sit down for breakfast at McDonald's on Highway 80 in West Jackson. I'll never forget it. And we did it often, but this particular day I posed a question. And it was a weird general question where I simply said, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way to support our leaders in the city and to mobilize volunteers and donors who are looking to make a difference in our metro area but don't know how. And he was the one who said, it sounds like what you have observed Jackson needs is what leadership foundations do. And so we are a part of a network of leadership foundations across the globe, all focused on the same mission, which is community transformation through empowering leaders and connecting people of goodwill and good faith. And so Dr. Perkins and then Ronnie Crudup Jr. and I, and then also Dr. Perkins' daughter, and Ronnie Jr. is a great community leader in Jackson, got in a car and drove up to Memphis, Tennessee, saw the Memphis Leadership Foundation. And so from that meeting, I came back and was able to connect with some other pastors and leaders in the city, most notably David Harden, the community missions pastor at Pine Lake Church on the reservoir, and pitched the idea, said, can we do it? And the rest, I should say, is history, but there's a lot of in between.
5 years.
It's been a long 5 years.
It's like getting that baby to kindergarten. There's a lot that happens in the growth of that, sort of short and long sort of 5 years. But it sounds like it's catching on. People are starting to recognize, I guess, the value that it can bring, because I will, with limited work that I've had in the nonprofit sector, sort of being a liaison or trying to help in different avenues of my own career, it can sometimes be really hard to build those relationships and the trust needed for them to allow you to steward them in a more productive way, or at least that you're there to help, not hinder, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that takes time.
Yes, it does. And trust is built over a period of time, and there's really, honestly, no other way to do it. And it takes investment, but over time you You eventually show that you're here for the right reasons, and hopefully some fruit comes out of the relationship. And from that point forward, it's a lot easier to get things done.
So what have you been doing for the last 5 years?
Well, we started with a coffee table conversation with a few leaders in the city, and that has since grown to now we serve about 25 leaders a year who are operating different nonprofits, community organizations, or just programs in the city. We focus on a few key areas of empowerment. We do leadership training for grassroots community leaders. We have a 6-month program called Leader Lab. We have a volunteer clearinghouse for the Metro called Nehemiah Network, and that's where we go out to our community partners all over the Metro and help them, whether they're schools, churches, corporations or businesses, or even families or individuals, help them plug into volunteer needs in the city and donation needs in the city. And we have a nice online app for that, as well as just staff support. And so last thing we do is what we call a ministry accelerator. And so our niche is churches, our niche, so to speak. And so this idea of a ministry accelerator is an invitation to leaders to say, if you come under our 501c3, we can handle your back office. We can handle your executive leadership, your governance, your legal filings, all the things that nobody gets into the work to do.
Amen.
And so it frees them up to be able to do what they do better. And so those are our 3 major focus areas.
There's
right
a
now.
reason QuickBooks was invented.
Yes.
Sort of take all that work off of you. Okay, and so how you mentioned 25. You guys are working with like 25 different organizations now. That's grown exponentially over the last 5 years. How does that feel?
It's honestly one day at a time. I look at the number where we are now and spend a little bit of time celebrating the past, but most of my vision is looking forward to the future. So, but the times I do get a chance to sit back and take a breath and reflect, it's so sweet.
And the future looks bright. So y'all have, like I mentioned, new digs, but that's being a new place. Tell us what's coming.
Well, we've been dreaming about a community center, a collaborative center, where we can, in essence, expand our services. So we've had this opportunity to acquire a building on Capitol Street downtown. It's a 6-story building, 36,000 square feet, where it's a perfect setup to be able to hold shared office space and shared staffing for local nonprofits in the city and ministries in the city and even churches. We also have a spot for conference rooms, and we'd like to bring in a cafe. But that's what our plan is for that building, and it's right in the heart of downtown Jackson. And honestly, we hope it's a beacon for the metro area to know that whether you're a leader in the city who's running a program of some sort, or you're somebody in the metro area who wants to make a difference in the city of Jackson but doesn't know how or where to get plugged in, there's a place for you to go where you can walk in the doors and get the support you need. And so that's our dream for this center. It's going to be called 236 Place, playing off the address, which is 236 East Capitol Street.
And y'all have a grand opening coming up.
It's a grand opening-ish, and I say that hesitantly because we just acquired a building or are about to acquire a building, and we're really displaying it as a preview party of sorts. So there might be carpet, there might not. We'll see. With the hopes of perhaps a year from now doing a ribbon cutting. But we're excited to go ahead and move our current staff and leaders who are operating in our accelerator in the building with us. And then probably about 6-7 months from now, we'll start moving other organizations in so we can start working better together side by side.
Well, this is all exciting stuff, Samuel. I can't imagine where you're going to be in 5 more years. If people want more information on how to support Jackson Leadership Foundation or come to the soft opening, I think it's November the 9th, where do they find that information? JacksonLeadershipFoundation.org. So that's JacksonLeadershipFoundation.org. And you can hop on the website to learn more about us, our programs, how to contact us. And there's also a link on the homepage to register for our preview party. Send the registration in. We can get you on the list and look forward to having you on the night at 5:30 to 7:30. And then we look forward, though, Samuel, to having you back in a year, because I can't imagine when y'all finally have that ribbon cutting and all the celebration and what it's going to bring to the metro area. I appreciate using the words beacon of light, because I think our city, our capital city, could use as much light as possible right now. I think we all could, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are many good stories going on, and sometimes we don't get to witness those. So we're happy to share about what's going on.
All right. Well, invitation to come back to let us know when the ribbon gets cut. How about that? That
Thank
won't be
you.
another 5 years.
Exactly. Thank
It
you.
won't be another 5 years. All right. You guys stick with us, though. We've got more good for you coming up next.